here starts the next part, that is in an inflamed area there is a formation of interendothelial gaps. That is, you can imagine, for example, this is an endothelial layer and these are two endothelial cells, and like this the gap appears between the two endothelial cells. This is because of the chemical mediators like histamine, bradykinin and leukotrienes. So histamines are nothing but they are derived from the mast cells, and the bradykinines are from the plasma proteins, and the leukotrienes are from the induced cell leukotrienes are from the induced cell membranes. And by all these mediators, what happens is the endothelial cell undergoes the contraction. So what is contraction is nothing but, here you can see shrunken all over the surface is nothing but the contraction. So the contraction takes place because of the vasoactive substances, that is nothing but this histamine, bradykinin and leukotriene. But the retraction is another process in which only the edges are shrunken but the center is normal. This is nothing but retraction. So in contraction or retraction is nothing but leading to the endothelial gap between the two cells, that is leading to the increased permeability to the different substances in a vascular bed. So retraction is mainly by the interleukin 1 and also tumor necrosis factors. We know these are the cytokines. So whenever the cytokines activate, it's nothing but like forming the transcription, translation and leading the changes in the nucleus for formation of new proteins. So the retraction takes place because of the cytokines and the contraction takes place because of the histamine, bradykinin, leukotrienes, so those substances. That is the chemical mediators. So now let's see here we can see in injured cell there is actually a phospholipase A2 activated from the leak down of lipids to the arachidonic acid, and this is converted into prostaglandins and into the leukotrienes. So there is very rapid process. So every injured cell has the prostaglandins and leukotrienes. So what they are saying, in an injured tissue, in the presence of the phospholipase A, the activated form which converts actually the arachidonic acid to the leukotrienes and also the prostaglandins. So every injured cell usually has the leukotrienes and the prostaglandins. And coming to the immediate transient response, this is nothing but the interendothelial gaps. It has a short half-life, that is like histamine, bradykinin and prostaglandins, leukotrienes. So all these substances cause the transient response, means it lives only for a short time. That is the first initial contraction, that is the vasoactive substances, and increase the permeability, because you know this interendothelial gaps is nothing but increasing the permeability later by the cytokines. This is the retraction. If you remember, cytokines lead to retraction, that is nothing but only the two corners of the cell are disturbed but the central part is same, and delayed and prolonged. So if you remember here, retraction, delayed and prolonged. So the cytokine mediated permeability is prolonged for long time, but the intermediate transient response, that is by the cytokines, by the histamine, bradykinin and PGI. So increase in permeability is more seen in the venules rather than arteriolar side. In both contraction and retraction takes place, but mainly seen in the venules, because the endothelial cells on the venule side show many receptors for many chemical mediators. As they are showing many receptors there, which is the favorable place for the both contraction and retraction of the cells. So the direct trauma or severe injury, so this is in a normal case, but sometimes in a direct trauma or severe injury may take place, which may disrupt the endothelial side and affects on all parts of circulation. So if it's like a normal injury, then it attacks only on the venule sides. But when it is trauma or severe injury, you know, if it is severe injury, it attacks all the circulatory system like arterioles, capillary side and also venule sides, and increase the permeability from the all sides, and it's an immediate and prolonged process. So that is immediate process but not prolonged, but because of cytokines it may be prolonged, and this trauma one is immediate and also prolonged. And the very delayed and prolonged is seen in sun injury. Example, you can see due to delay production of cytokines may lead to the apoptosis. So it's a delayed and prolonged one. So sometimes many WBC may stick to the endothelial cells. Normally it's good because they are gone out by the intercellular space and attack the focus of the injury of the phagocytes. But sometimes this WBC stick to the endothelial cell also causes a harmful effect, that is nothing but causing the increase in the permeability and also by reactive oxygen species and leukocytes attack on this. So this takes place mainly in the lungs and glomerulus. So what here they are saying is, when a WBC stick to the endothelium cell, usually it's because of this endothelial gaps, it's easily trying to come out. But what happens here is, because it is sticking to the endothelial cell and it is stuck there, it is not able to coming out. So what it does is, it start acting on our endothelial cell and make it more permeable, so it is coming out more frequently. So in endothelium, vesicles form and move out from the endothelium to outside and releasing the content into the interstitium. So this is also nothing but increasing the permeability because of vesicles. So if you think this is an endothelium, there are like many vesicles and they are allowing the permeability, like they are making pores and easily increasing more permeability. So this is also called as transcytosis, and they are called vesicovascular organelles. So these are called vesicovascular organelles which are allowing the transcytosis. And the GF produced at the injury make the new vessel called the new vascularization takes place. That is nothing but the growth factors which are produced at the injury, they make the new vessel, that is nothing but like recanalization. If you remember, they make it like hollow structure and takes place at the healing, and they are the new cells without the intercellular junctions at the beginning, and lot of leakage of fluid from there takes place. It's dangerous in diabetics retinopathy. This can lead to exudation of the fluid, that is protein rich fluid is formed. You know, endothelial cells when they are mature, they may be thick and they may be close to each other, but here the new formed tube where the endothelial cells are immature, so they easily leak out, and this is a dangerous case in case of the diabetic retinopathy, that is in our eyes. And in extensive tissue injury, a lot of fluid enters the interstitium. It is mainly seen in the skin burns. Skin burns may lead to the shock, because you know, in skin burns, what happens at a time, all the skin is injured. That is means it attacks both on arterial side, venule side, and also on the microcircular, that is capillary side. So at a time, all the fluid from our endothelial cells enters the interstitium. So this may lead to the rapid shock, because of at a time all fluid is entering into the interstitium. And now let us see the cellular events. So we have already discussed the vascular events in our other before video. Now we are going to see the cellular events. So in the cellular events, it is responsible mainly for the WBC to reach the site and undergo the phagocytosis and remove the dead cell and repair tissue. Of course, this is our main goal. So usually in the laminar flow, what is the laminar flow? If you think this is the blood flow, all the RBC and next coming WBC and next coming platelets, middle will be the WBC and outside will be the RBC and platelets, and next coming the plasma fluid. So like this the flow goes on, always plasma on periphery and all the cells in the middle. This is the laminar flow. Here you can see from center to periphery, the WBC is in the center, and next comes the RBC and next platelets and the plasma. So due to the vasodilation, we know there is high flow of blood, so all the plasma osmotic pressure is decreased. That is, plasma osmotic pressure, we know it always tries to keep blood within the circulation, but the hydrostatic pressure, we know, which always tries to pull out the fluid outside. So in this case, as the hydrostatic pressure is increased, it always tries to move the fluid outside, and as also plasma osmotic pressure is decreased. So this is nothing but leading to the release into the interstitium and leaving inside the concentration fluid. We know this all, as all the fluid is coming out, only the concentration fluid is remained inside the our vascular bed or endothelial tissue layer. So the hemo concentration is increased, that is nothing but the level of cells inside is increased, leading to viscosity, that is thickening of blood. So it moves very slowly, and also leading to the stasis. So stasis is nothing but when the blood becomes more viscous. If you think like this is a blood vessel, so this is a blood flow. If it is very thick and viscous, you can imagine it moves very slowly. So as because of the vasodilation, there is so much coming of so much fast flow of blood coming to our circulation, but here the blood is moving so slow, so that venule side the pressure will be so slow, but the coming is so fast. So that you need to remember. And the blood leaving now is decreased, and the RBC stick with each other. So as they are very close to each other, they have a chances of getting stick each other. So the RBC stick with each other and the bump the WBC. So we know WBC in the middle and RBC outside. As now two like this RBCs are getting each other, they now become big and they throw the WBC towards the periphery of the lumen, to the axial circulation, that is periphery, and this is nothing but the marginated WBC. So the marginated WBC is nothing but WBC coming like this towards the margins and all other cells in the center or like this. So this is the process of margination. And some of the chemical mediators also stimulate the endothelial cells, like endothelial cell activation by the granules and move to the surface called the hooks. So like chemical mediators like histamine, thrombin, interleukin 4 and leukotrienes, which lead to this process, that is the endothelium cell activation by the granules and move to the surface, and they're called the hooks, which are the viable process. So the shrinking and stick with the WBC and help to move the WBC to the inflammatory area. So now what happens, as this WBC are moving towards the margins, these endothelial cells also try to become sticky because of the force from backside, that is from the chemical mediators. So they both try to stick each other now. So the viable palate bodies are present in the platelets and the endothelium and become sticky. So this is what making the both cells sticky, that is the viable palate bodies. So the WBC have hooks like structure always present called the oligosoliated sugar. So here in the diagram you can imagine, for example, this is the lumen, here is the WBC and here is the endothelium. So endothelium and WBC both are sticky because of viable palate bodies, and the WBC now forms a hook like structures. These are nothing but the oligosiliated sugar, also known as sialated oligosaccharides, and this endothelium also forms a hook like structure. So what is it we are going to see now? So both WBC and endothelium become sticky and bound each other. Their WBC hooks are sialated and endothelium hooks are P-selectins. So this is important. Sorry, endothelium cells are E-selectins. Actually, these are first known as P-selectins because they are first found in platelets. But as they are belonging to endothelium, now they are known as E-selectins. That is E for endothelium. And is discovered first in platelets. So the WBC roll over each other endothelium, and because of its high inflow of the blood, they may again get so what happens is, now WBC gets attached to the endothelium. Now what happens, there are also some other endothelium, they can't fix so strongly that because of the high blood flow, again this endothelium skips to other endothelium, again this WBC skips to other endothelium. Like this the process continues and finally sticks to the venule side of the endothelium, and from there it comes out. So that process we are going to see now. So even the interleukin 1 and tumor necrosis factor act on the endothelium, give activation to the nucleus and forms the better hooks, that is selectins, but they are expressed lately, that is nothing but E-selectins. So even now they can stick with the E-selectins and again more blood flow, so again they roll down, and this process is known as rolling of WBC. So like this rolling. So first we have seen the margination, next we have seen the rolling, and next the chemokines. Chemokines are the interleukin 8, especially for the attraction of neutrophils, because we know in any site of injury, you remember always the neutrophils are the first which come, and next we know they are like macrophages, monocytes reach the site. First the neutrophils reach there and bound to the endothelium. They will stimulate. So the IL-8 is the attracting factor for the neutrophils. They will stimulate the WBC very strongly by stimulating the WBC and integrins, ground charges, and grabbed by the ICAM, VCAM. So at last at the venule side, because of ICAM and VCAM, the WBC and the endothelium are so bonded that they are bonded in a very thick way that they easily next transfer them out of the vascular wall. So this process is called pavementing. So pavementing is nothing but you can understand their bonding. So the extravasation. So next comes, so first we have the margination, next we have the rolling, next we have the pavementation, after that we have the extravasation. Extravasation is nothing but getting out of the WBC to the inflamed site. So this is the last page. So the movement of WBC from the circulation to the extravascular area is called, also known as emigration, extravasation and diapedesis. So three names are given for this. So the more cytokines are acting on the endothelial cell, and the same type of molecules, that is the HOMO, are produced by the endothelium and also WBC. So they start slipping in between the endothelium cells by the homophilic reactions. So next what happens is, in the endothelial cell, here comes both two endothelial cells and here comes the WBC. Because of the HOMO, that is from here, two types of molecules, they are like same, so hence the name HOMO. As they are getting reacted with each other, they slowly slip down, that is the WBC, and coming out to the extravasculature. So that so here we can see between the endothelial cells hemophilic reaction, the molecules are called PCAMs, and that is CD31, and they rest before basement membrane, and the collagenase digests the basement membrane, and they now come out and enter the chemoattraction site, that is where the chemoattraction is done by the site of injury towards them, is called as chemoattracting agents. So the substances which are attracting towards them are nothing but the chemoattracting agents. They are divided into two types, that is exogenous and endogenous. Exogenous means by the bacterial agents, and the endogenous means by our own body. Those are known as endogenous. So the neutrophils have the receptors all over it for the leukotrienes. So the neutrophils have the receptors all over the body. The leukotrienes bind to the 7-pass receptors. So there is a chain of process here we will learn now. I think you know about this mechanism already in biochemistry. So once let us have a brief about it. So they are coupled with the G protein, and next they lose the GDP, acquire GTP, and produce the phospholipase C, and next the phosphatidyl inositol diphosphate, which break down the inositol triphosphate and DAG. This inositol triphosphate stimulates the calcium and calmodulin complex, and this in turn activates the protein kinase C. This phosphorylates the proteins and force the actin to fuse and forming the actin filaments. So what happens is these actin filaments, they grow and push the ball like structure, you can remember, like this. So it forms a bulging structure like this. This is nothing but known as filopodia. So this filopodia is useful for the locomotion towards the site of injury. And here you can see as the neutrophil is moving, they are CD44, which are like footstones for the WBC, which are present all over the body. Sometimes the WBC don't express the sialylated hooks, then they can't reach the site. So this is a defect known as LAD2. LAD2, where the WBC don't have the sialylated hooks. In LAD2, the disease is nothing but leukocyte alternate deficiency. Leukocyte alkaline deficiency. And the people with increased catecholamines, increased corticosteroids, and lithium medication is given for bipolar diseases. So they also so because they can't stick properly, so what happens is they increase the neutrophils. Because of this all things, the neutrophils increases because they can't stick properly to the endothelium. So the endotoxins produced mainly by the gram-negative bacteria act on the endothelium. They are known as endotoxins, which act on the endothelium, and they produce more sticky nature, and hence they decrease the neutrophils. That is because you know they are more sticky nature means the neutrophils are almost stuck in the endothelium. As they are sticking with the endothelium, they are stuck. So in blood test when we do, they show like there are very much low neutrophils. Actually the neutrophils are present in our body, but they are stuck here. So that is nothing but it's a rare case. And also in neutropenia, that is only the sample shows decrease the neutrophils, but in our body there may be increased neutrophils. So these are the two cases. This is all about this one.